Let me, since it is the first call of the year, I'm going to record this one in case we say something intelligent. Everybody else might have a chance to listen back. Anyway, so welcome back to NECANN January 2025. Remember that when you're writing your checks, if you still do that, it's now 2025. And as Dave just mentioned, for those of you who are interested in learning about network marketing as a profession, or at least learning the ins and outs of network marketing and the skill sets, and his digital book is available to you free. Just join, or you'll see it on one of our chats, but definitely request it. You don't want to not have this information. This is information that's completely relevant. I'm going to ask Leo. I'm going to say first before we get started. Leo asked me this early this week about, or last week, I guess, about an incentive. Usually, I offer an incentive every now and then with my group in Canada, and and I wrote. He asked it on the public channel, so I replied on the public channel. I thought it was relevant because normally, what I do is I offer an incentive to my group that I think focuses on an area of interest or an area that I think is important to focus on, sort of get people's attention. And because I feel so strongly about the goals that were set by our CEO for NECANN for 2030 being a $500 million company, having experienced what it takes to grow a business to 500 million. I know that the focus has to be, will be, must be, especially where this group is concerned, especially where this call is concerned, is on growing the network of consultants. That's where the focus is going to be based here. Growing a network is how you attain those kind of numbers, those kind of volumes, because at the end of the day, who brings the customers? It's the distributors, it's the consultants. So we want to grow the base of consultants in order to grow the volume. And so the focus for 2025 is going to be on that. And therefore, the incentives that I had mentioned to my group were incentives related to rank advancements. How do you know the team is growing? Well, because you get rank advancements. That's an indicator that the team is doing the fundamentals to duplicate and to grow and enlarge their teams, which translates into volume, which translates into more people being attracted to NECANN, both as a consumer and as a consultant. So the focus, I'm going to put the spin on that. It usually is on this call, but I want to really make the emphasis that a lot of the chatter that we hear on the message boards and on the particularly on the WhatsApp, that chatter often relates to product sales, retail sales. And while there's always opportunity for people to learn how to improve on that, there needs to be a lot more chatter on what you're doing to grow your network, your team. Those are the ins and outs that we really need to have a conversation about. And just pointing my finger to Dave's book, that is really where the focus is, and that is learning how to do network marketing. Why? Well, because NECANN offers that. The compensation plan has a very healthy retail component. It has a very healthy sponsoring component, especially with the We Accelerate. And by the way, that was the emphasis I made on my incentive. I said, I think NECANN's incentives program are more than adequate to compel people to do what it takes. And so I'm going to place an emphasis on achievement of rank advancements by leveraging NECANN's incentive program. And the We Accelerate program is one of the richest programs I've ever seen in network marketing. You've heard me say that all year last year, and I mean it. I think that if you're sponsoring people and you're earning 20%, regardless of what your rank is, and then add on top of that what your rank is, that's a very, very significant bonus to help somebody get their business started. And I want to reemphasize that point. It's to help somebody get their business started. And so, what does it mean to get their business started? I guess that depends on what business you think you're starting with them. And that requires a conversation between you and them. Are you starting a retail business? Are you starting a network marketing business? They're not the same. They do have components, or one has the component of the other, but the focus is different. And so, if the focus is to get somebody started in a big way is not asking them to do a lot by themselves. A big way is asking them to assemble a team. That's what it really is about. Building a network is building a team. So teamwork is the focus. Team, building a team, growing a team. That's the focus and needs to be the focus of this call if we're going to meet the agenda of 2030 to 10x NECANN's volume. So how many of you are excited about the idea of being a participant in 10xing NECANN's volume? Show me by your hands. Now, um, I really, really like this guy who I think we've been referring to. This guy here, Alex Hormozi. He's a superstar in marketing in the world. And then there's another guy who I think, Dave, you've spent some time with, the fellow who talks about 10xing all the time.
Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone. They really make a really strong case of focus. This Hormozi is really about laser focus on what it is you're looking for. And Grant Cardone is 10xing your business requires you to think in a way you haven't thought before. So it's not a marginal change. It's not a small change. It's not a change that is easy to give up on. It's not a change that's easy to, think that tomorrow, oh, it's okay. I'll wait till the next day. There's no waiting. When you're going to 10x, that puts you in a mindset that's completely different and opens you to a possibility that you haven't contemplated. I just want you to think about this for a second. I just really seriously want you to think about this. If NECANN's going to 10x, where is it going to come from?
Michael, I just posted on the chat the article I did today on building NECANN. How does it work? It's a short PDF, but it covers that in understanding what Grant does. The whole idea is based on marketing, and and again, the focus on this is a fundamental with our business, but you guys really have to understand that you make money when somebody else does something. You really have to get that. You don't make money
Yeah.
on what you do. You only make money on what somebody else does. That's a funny phenomenon, but you have to create somebody else. So you have to have the retail customer, or you have to have the
Sure.
distributor, and the distributor is always proven to do the most in what Michael is referring to in this particular sense. They create the most, distributors create the most retail customers because retail customers don't really create retail customers.
Right.
So from the standpoint of building a business, the idea of network marketing, this idea of duplication, this idea of a penny doubled every day, this idea of exponential growth comes when each person does something and then they repeat that system. Well, one of the things I put in this article, which Mike talks about, is the launch. Well, you should be launching every day, every week, every month with everybody all the time. You don't stop launching. So you launch yourself to get to silver, then you got 3 people in that group, and you got to launch them to get to silver, and then they have 9 people that need to
We
launch to
keep
get.
launching.
So it just is a repeat of the same concept over and over and over again. But the 10x concept is to then, instead of it just being you, it's 10 people like you. It's the volume instead of 10,000, it's 100,000. If it's not 100,000, it's a million. It's just, anyway, Michael, you want
Yeah, no,
to?
no, this is the point. I think the 10x is you don't sponsor somebody, you launch somebody.
Yeah.
Sponsoring somebody could give you a linear growth, a gentle curve. But launching somebody is a different animal. That's really about putting somebody in the best possibility as quickly as possible. And the best possibility for earning income in NECANN is at the silver rank. If you know the compensation plan, where do you maximize your rebates? At silver. So launching somebody is an exercise in creating momentum to establish a result that puts them in a position where they could be earning the most based on whatever effort or activity they're involved in their NECANN business. So instead of enrolling somebody, instead of even getting excited about enrolling somebody, don't even get excited about enrolling somebody, is what I'm saying. Start thinking 10x, not linear. Stop thinking the way you were, but start thinking 10x. 10x is get excited about what you should be getting excited about. And that is launching a new business into a silver ship. If you've done that, it's like raising a kid into university. At that point, it's really up to them where they're going to go, what they're going to do with their life. You got them as far as you could get them. Now they got to start to, operate on their own steam at some point in time. Isn't that true about our children? They got to operate on their own steam. And so, same thing with a Nikan distributor. We want to put them into a position where there's reason for them to operate on their own steam because there's money sitting there, potential, and you've given them the best start you know how to give them. Therefore, that becomes the new norm. The new norm is giving somebody the best start you know how to give them. And that's what you start communicating. So when you enroll somebody, say, hey, listen, my job as your sponsor is to give you the best start I know how to give you. That means we're going to launch your business. Oh, no, but I want to take it slow. Don't worry, we'll take it slow. We're going to launch your business slow. You're going to launch their business. And they don't know what slow is and they don't know what fast is. Trust me, they don't know. They don't know what slow is. They don't know what fast is. So give them the best start you know how to give them, which means coach them with the best instructions you know how to provide them. And they will take what they can and do what they can with it. That means you're giving your best to them and they're doing their best with what you're giving them. That's the deal, guys. And that's how you become proficient at getting this business going and creating momentum. Now, if we all do that at the same time, which means Mike DiMuccio, yeah, I'm on the hunt. I'm looking for somebody to run with. Now, I can be a little bit more choosy than you, perhaps because I have a little bit of, of a network already. So I can be a little bit more particular in who I'm going to invest my time in. But when you're new in this business or when you're not yet proficient or earning a full-time income, then maybe you're not going to be as choosy as I am. You're going to give maybe more people the benefit of the doubt. But what I do encourage you to do is whoever you do decide to get into business with, give them the best start you know how to give them. That's your job as a sponsor. And if you're not quite even sure what that means, show up on these calls because these calls are instructional. The Thursday call, which I don't see many of you on because it does require you to bring a participant to, those are the calls where you're going to really hear the strategy. How many of you have been on a Thursday call with me and Dave? Okay. Did you hear strategy or not? Yeah, right? We talked to the people you brought and we talked to them always with the understanding of where they were at, but giving them the best start we knew how to give them based on where they were at. And it always led to a launch of some kind because you
Michael, I
don't want
want
to go
to
slow.
address, Jeff wrote something on the chat where he
Yes,
said,
he did.
where's it going to come from, Gen X, Y, and Z? And when I look back at the ages of the people I brought in, I was 39 years old when I started. My top producer in my first leg was 62. The top producer in my second leg was 50. The top producer in my third leg was 65. And the top producer in my fourth leg at the time was 48. Now, there were ages, all ages in between that, but the answer is it's not a demographic that's going to get involved. Who's going to get involved is somebody that needs and wants what you're squawking about. See, this is the key to it. It's the marketing approach. Whether you're selling widgets or cars or insurance or whatever it is, you market to your audience and you have to figure out who your audience is. So what do we provide? We provide two things. We provide nutritional supplements, sleep systems, water systems, so on and so forth, all of the products that we have, and we provide an income opportunity. And if you really understand what we've got in that direction, Mike and I will share with you behind the scenes how powerful this concept can be. And that's what people are interested in today. And we talked about it last week. We read, what are people searching for? Home-based business, new niches, where people are not being serviced. They're not looking for a Pie Mag waterfall. But if you promote to them that are people that are interested in pure water, clean water, energized water, then you can find the people that you need to then promote your Pie Mag waterfall. So it's a marketing concept that's really crucial to understand. So you have to get out there, market who you are, have your story. And the article that I put out there for you tonight is you've got to have your story dialed in. In other words, you got to know exactly where you're going, why you're going, where you're going. You got to be excited about it. It's got to be in writing so that the person that you're talking to can get excited about you.
Okay, pause, because that was it. That is, We learned a marketing term tonight, squawking about. What are you squawking about? So write that down. What are you squawking about? And what Dave just shared was what you ought to be squawking about. Okay, you got to be excited. If you're not excited, which is why a 10x goal matters, you're not going to be excited about a small increment. You're going to be excited. A different you is going to show up if you go after something big. A different you, a different version of you. And I can promise you one thing, because it's true about me. I like me better when I have a big goal. I truly do. I like me a lot better. I actually think sharper. I'm much more pleasant to be around. I'm really not a pleasant person to be around when things aren't moving. I get really agitated very, very easily. So I need movement. I need action. I need big. That's what gets me on the edge of my seat and keeps me excited. If you think about the movies that excite you, they keep you on the edge of your seat all the time. They keep you moving. They keep you involved. They keep you enrolled, right? Your senses. Same thing with your Nikken
Michael,
business.
it is the first
gotta be
Monday of
that.
the month. We
Yep.
got to do the goals.
We do. But before we do that, I just wanted to hear, just raise your hand. Was anybody up to some whispering over the holidays, the December? Did you do any of that whispering campaign? Paul,
Yes, yes. Can you hear me? So
Look at Paul. He's dressed for success already. He's on this call looking sharp, Paul.
thank you.
Talk to us.
What we've been doing, I'm platinum now, and I have to adopt a different strategy to get diamond and royal diamond done. And Michael suggested, well, you're looking for certain kinds of people. So I'm looking for people who in time would like to create an income between 5,000 and 10,000 a month. That happens often in network marketing with different companies. And so I ask for that, and people like that question. They like it to the point where I am quite successful at getting their phone number. They either input their number into my phone, or when I give them my card, they respond with their phone number. Now, the next thing, what I promised them is that I'm going to send them a video called, The Balanced Life, Happy Life. And I used Mike's, and the most recent one is December. So we've been doing this for a couple of months. And what is happening once the video is sent is then there is no response really. And so I regard that as kind of a sorting, because I'm not too particular about who I kind of ask this, because most people, when they hear that, they are interested. So I use this as a sorting tool. If I don't hear, that tells me, well, this would be like a wish sort of a thing, but you're not really going to do much.
Paul, Dave and I are just chomping at the bit waiting to talk to you about something here.
Okay.
There's a bit of missing information here.
Yeah.
Okay.
First off, when you find somebody that says yes to your question, before I would send them anything, I would explore, well, what do you mean? So you'd be interested. Well, let me show you how that works. In other words, you get engaged in that conversation. Well, what would that $5,000 do for you? How important is that?
But the problem is there isn't that much time. I don't know them. This is a very different strategy than if I'm working with somebody and we're working with their warm market. This is pretty cold.
So even if it is, Paul, if they're willing to give you their number or email, set up a call.
Yeah.
Set up a call to get that conversation done.
Sending anything.
Yeah, it's the why conversation. It's what creates the interest on both sides. I mean, it's like, listen, before we get into engagement here, you mind if I ask you some questions to see if it's really worth our time, both yours and mine? Like, I really want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know what they're
being
thinking.
A bit lazy. I'm expecting that the tool will sort where I have to do a
The
little bit more
tool,
work.
its job is to pique their interest, but before you get to that, you don't even know they watched it. So you got to pique their interest in a conversation. You got to find out, it's like, I think it was Dennis Williams used to say, stick that knife in and move it around a bit. Get them really agitated, get them really feeling it. What does
It's
it
like the
mean?
guy that walks on the car lot and says, "Well, what are you here for?" "I'm just looking." "Well, what
Yes.
are you looking for?"
Yeah.
"The
Yeah.
wood,
So
a piece of
I
cake,
have all
or a
these
car?"
numbers. I can call them back and say, okay, well, were you, it's just, I want to make sure I understand the strategy
Sure.
that,
Well, first of all, to the ones you have sent the video to, you could always call them back and say, all right,
yes,
I'd like to
I
know
could
what you
do
liked
that. And I
about
have
it.
a lot of people.
I'd like to know what you liked about it. Like Leo, he gave us his instructions last week. First thing he asks is, what do you like about it? He doesn't say, what do you think about it? He says, what do you like
No.
about it? So it focuses the attention on what they actually liked.
So I'm just asking you now, um, should I set up a call before they get sent anything, or send them something and then just do follow up and not be concerned? They're not going to call, I
Yeah,
just expect that.
it really depends on the tool, what tool it is you're using. Now, the tool that you sent them was a little bit meaty. It's got a lot more information than
Yes.
maybe somebody, first of all, if it's not 30 seconds or 60 seconds, to ask somebody today to listen to a 30-minute or 40-minute presentation, they got to be hot under the collar. I mean, they got to be really, really
Yeah.
excited about the possibility. So that's going to take it's going to take a conversation that really gets to, by the way, just a simple thing. The more interest you take in someone and you ask those leading questions, what you're saying to them intrinsically is, I want to know just how serious you are about this. I want to know just how meaningful is this to you. And you're also indicating to them how meaningful it is to you because you're
Yeah.
taking the time. So that raises the stakes. It makes it much more relevant and therefore the information much more expected and wanted.
Well, there's something short called with the cash flow quadrant that I found. It's like 2, 3 minutes or something. And it's not about product, but it's about how this system works. And it's short. And that's really what I'm looking for, people who have an interest in this kind of system. So
And
that's
so
three
that's a good
minutes.
one. That's good. So if that's what you're sending them, now I want to know what the response is. I would call them back. It would be part of my system. My system wouldn't be to hope they're going to be reaching, they're going to be coming and looking for me. My system would be, I want a response.
Okay.
And so when I get a legitimate response, then I know where this person stands. If it's not a legitimate response, then I know that they're not really all that serious about the question. And by the way, I really love asking the question as a follow-up to the question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about that? Because that also puts an
Yeah.
exclamation mark.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even that can be done even in the first conversation, honestly.
Exactly. In the
Yes.
first conversation. Hey, I got this
So
really sore back. Well, if there was a way to solve that problem naturally, would you be interested? Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious would you be? You see, when you're not so much in a rush to sell anybody anything, but to really to test whether or not they're serious about what they're talking about, that says a lot about you. It says you're a
yes.
serious person. See, it says you're somebody who doesn't waste your time. It says you're, yeah, I tell you, I remember so many conversations I had with Bob Proctor where he would really put the fire under my feet. And it wasn't, he was just testing me to test myself, to challenge myself to, do you really mean what you're saying? Do you really mean what you're
Yes.
saying? Because when you start really acting,
And the other thing, Paul,
yeah,
too, in all my corporate training, we did cold calls. So we talked to complete strangers, and the job that we had to do was to qualify them to see if they were interested. And it was our job in talking to them that did, number one, qualified them, got them interested, and then took them through the steps of, okay, I'm going to send you something. Would you look at it, get their agreement, so on and so forth. And that whole process made millions of dollars. So it is a tried and true method. But what you and for everybody else on the call too, the key to it is there's a way to do everything, but what you have to understand is what it is, and then you have to figure out how you do it based on who you are, your aptitude, your education, your background, all of those kind of things. Because you may not do what I did or what Michael did or what somebody else did, but you can do it your way if
Mhm.
you understand what it is that has to be done so that it makes sense to you, and different styles, different strokes, different folks.
And, I often hear when Dave says you got to figure it out. I often hear in my mind thinking, oh my God, they think they have to figure this out on their own. No, it has to be figured out, and you can get help figuring it out because there are experts on this call who are willing to help you sort out what is going to work for you. So, yes, you
Yeah.
have to figure it out, but don't think it's you in your own bag trying to figure out how to get out of your bag. It's get some help from people who have some experience. Now, we do have to move on to the goal. So, here's how we're going to do this goal exercise. I want you to consider it is December 15th, 2025. And you do what you normally do to check what what your pay is. Whatever it is, you probably log into your back office, you probably go to the account inquiry or whatever it is you do to figure out what it is that you earned for the month of November. Okay, so it's December 15, 2025. I want to know. No, I don't want to know. I want you to write down on something, a piece of paper in front of you, and that piece of paper is going to be kept for the entire year. So put it somewhere where you're going to see it every day. Okay? So it's a piece of paper. I don't care if it's an envelope or whatever, a book, whatever. Just write this on that page and keep it where, when you sit at your desk single day, it's going to be there as the reminder. Okay? Because that's the cornerstone. That's the thing that's going to hold up this entire exercise of the next 12 months. So what is the amount? Nikan is sending you a check. What is the amount? Now remember, there's a business that's backing up that check. So you're going to create in the next 12 months, adding to what you've already created, a business that's going to pay you X dollars on December 15, 2025. What is that number? Now, I have that number for me. I have that number for me as a check. I actually have it in the form of a check with Tom Watanabe's signature on it. And it's sitting in my mirror in my bathroom. And it's there every single day. I'm staring at it every day, every time I go to brush my teeth or whatever. That's there. That number is there. It's a constant reminder of my worth at that moment in time, how I value my business worth at that moment in time. It actually has a check made out to Good Vibrations International. So, what's the check for you? What's the deposit for you on December 25th, 2025? It's got to be a number. Okay. It's got to be a number that you are willing to earn and willing to be the owner of, the proud owner of a business that's rewarding you with that number, that's paying you that number. Remember, it's the business that's paying you. Nikan is the vehicle. Okay. Now, here's what is next. I want you to set a goal for January with the idea of this goal is setting you up for a movement, setting you up for a trajectory that's going to land you on that number, December 15, 2025. So, what does the month of January look like as a goal that lines you up for that trajectory in December of this year? Okay. Because if it's not relatable to an end in mind, then we don't know if our goal is relevant or not. We need to make course corrections along the way. And we're going to know, do we have to up this side? Do we have to lower that? It's a balancing act of, is the activity in proportion to the expectation, the expected results? So we're breaking down your year to January. Now, here's the good news. It's not 1/12 of the amount. Whatever the amount was for January or for December, this amount doesn't have to be 10% of it, okay, or 8% of it. It has to be a number, but you can also double it the next month. And you can do it the next month, double it again. So what we could start to experience is a more exponential type of curve rather than a linear curve that you're accustomed to. An exponential curve is one that says, in order for this to happen, there must be other people involved. So you might say, well, but Mike, right now I don't have other people involved. But in order for that to happen, you will have other people involved. So we're setting up an expectation, both here and now, in your mind, in your mind's eye, communicating it to the universe here together on this call, that I have an expectation. And that expectation is that there will be other people involved contributing to that number and growing from there. We
Want to
have
tag
to
on
draw
that,
it in.
Michael?
Yeah.
Well, I did my first year in 1991. The goal was $120,000. My first month, I made 468.
Yeah. So that
My
trajectory
second month-
doesn't line up. But if
No,
it's
not-
exponential,
But then my next month was 4,300, and then I was asked, "Well, how are you doing, Dave?" I said, "Well, I'm on my way to making 120,000." And I ended up making 119,000 for the year. So what's really important about what Michael's saying is that if you put out that 10x goal, and then you start with a goal today, then you start to manipulate your productive activities commensurate with what the goal is. So, I found out at 468 for the first month wasn't what I needed, didn't cover anything that I was trying to do, wasn't my $8,000 a month that I needed or 10,000 that I wanted to make. So what did I have to do? I had to increase my productivity to be commensurate with that kind of result. So it took me 4 months of increased production to hit the goal. That's what we're talking about here. But you got to start somewhere. You got to have something you're going after that's meaningful, purposeful, and here's why. The real reason is to attract attention with other people who need what you want.
yeah,
You see,
that's
if you
what you're going to be
haven't-
squawking about.
That's exactly it. That's what I wrote in that article. You'll see it. It's exactly that. It's like when you say, I'm going after this, and you've got it all written out, you got what rank you're going, what volume you're doing, how many customers you're going to get, and they're looking at that and they're looking at you and they see how excited you are. They're going to say, I want to do what you're doing. That's what I want to make. So show me. How do we do this? And guess what you're going to be able to do? Show them.
So guys, this kind of information is not new to you, I know. I just don't know to what degree you apply it. That's the key. It's the application. And if you're not applying it 100%, if your heart isn't in it 100%, how could you ever expect anybody to follow you? Who in their right of mind would follow somebody who's only half interested in something or only demonstrating a partial commitment to that something? Hey, let's get married. I want to think about it and maybe do it every now and then. Like, no, you're either in or you're not in. So you got to get in, all in. And
I got to
there-
tell
and-
this
and
too, Michael.
you can't
when
lie to
Michael-
yourself, right?
When Michael was starting in Canada, I went up to help open up Canada. I'd been a year before, and I was not interested. I wasn't doing what he was doing. I kind of was like, I don't know if this is going to work or not. And I recruited some people from Halifax, and then the Halifax shut down for like 6 months. But it's exactly what he said. It's your attitude. You've got to put on your game face because it's your game face that's going to attract attention. And again, you make money from what other people do. So if you attract the hot shot, if you attract the big player, you attract that, it's because of you're excited and have your game face on and you're out there, we call it your act one. You're there, you're doing it. They see it and they say, God, this is what I want to do. And guess what happens? They grow like a weed. I keep telling the Julie Tara story because it's so impactful. She did $287 million worth of business in 27 years. I didn't know she was going to do that. I had no clue she was going to do that. But I tell you what, when she told me to jump, I jumped. When she said, I need a three-way, I did a three-way. She said, I need you to go here and do a meeting. I did a meeting. So understand what your group and support will do. And all you have to do is get out there and dangle the carrots. Because if we look at our population in the United States, 38% have side hustles. already right now. 38% of the population has a side hustle. Why do they have a side hustle? They're not making enough money. Do we have an opportunity? Oh my goodness, do we have an opportunity? 60% can't sleep. Our water's polluted. All the groundwater has been sucked up by these companies that are bottling it, and it's all causing all kinds of. There's so much opportunity here, but you got to have that story. You got to attract attention, and it's like one of the things I don't know is where they are. So stand on the corner, stand on your head, spit wooden nickels, whatever you have to do, juggle, throw balls up and down, whatever, and then strut your stuff and tell your story, attract attention.
I just want to re-emphasize this point, and then let's open up to some questions.
Yeah.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your life. This is your life. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you're writing your life. You're living your life. It's what it is. And if you don't give yourself something to live for or something to be excited about, you're not going to excite anybody around you. And nobody's going to want to hang out with somebody who's not excited. Or the only people who want to hang out with somebody who's not excited are people that are not excited. So misery loves company. Is that what you want? No. If you want a business, act like you got a business. If you want a business, a big business, act like you're the CEO and owner of a big business. This is how you're going to manifest it. It's not going to come out of any other way. It's not going to drop on your lap unless you've drawn it in. People repel success every single minute of every single day by their actions and their attitude. Claiming they want success, but repelling it. You want to align with it. This call is called aligning with success. It means our hearts, our minds, our actions are aligned with what it is we want to attract. And you need to define what it is you want to attract. That's why we started with a number. It's a definitive thing. It's a number. Niken's compensation plan is going to pay you that number. So we know the mechanism exists. It's not like you have to invent it. We don't even have to do that. So many people right now are trying to figure out how to get by, and they don't have a mechanism. We have a mechanism, and it's a pretty robust mechanism, and it's getting better every year. So there's no shortage there. We can get pretty excited about what we have to offer because we have a mechanism. But if you don't have a cause that's drawing you out of yourself to squawk to other people and say, hey, you don't have to look too far. I do have something. May not be for you, but I know it's for me. I'm on
Mike,
my
I
way
wanted to say something
120,000. Yeah, jump in, Paul.
because I picked a number. I roughly double my salary, so 250,000. But here's the mistake I made, and I've been in Niken a long time. But here's the kind of the reflex mistake I made. When you asked how much a month, I just divided it by 10 roughly, and then I thought, oh boy, 25,000 a month. And when you said, wait a minute, it's exponential growth. How come I didn't twig to that? And it's been so many years. And now I can calculate, exponentially what this could be, where, it doubles each time. It's a whole different way of thinking. It still escaped me.
It's
Oh
the
my
penny doubling.
God.
But this is a really
Huh?
good point, Paul. It's why so many people don't understand network marketing. Because if they actually understood what you just figured out, the idea that the penny doubling is a concept that's real and it can be applied, then a big change can happen, but it doesn't require a big change to happen. It requires duplication. It requires compounding. It means something replicated. And then you replicate it again, and then you replicate it again, and then you replicate it again, because it's all being replicated. It's like the cells in our body. So it's
Yeah.
something that gets replicated. That's what allows the exponential growth to happen. So what do you need? You need a platform. You need a system. You need some mechanism that will keep track of it and reward you and pay you while it's all happening, because you couldn't possibly as a person do it. So that's what
No.
we have. We have a system that tracks every single transaction in your network, no matter how many generations deep it goes, no matter what country it's in. You get
Yeah.
that? I mean,
So
it's
yeah,
huge. The
it's
system is,
the team duplicate, but it's people that they all, they're more
it's just,
people.
for me, I'm more
Yeah.
excited about the fact that we have a system. And our job is to convey that, communicate that, help other
Yes.
people appreciate the value of it. But if we don't ourselves appreciate, that's why I said read Dave's book. Read anything that's going to teach you about this concept of compounding. Make my first 10 million. That's why people think small, because they don't understand the fundamental concept that allows wealth to be created.
Yes.
It's our duty to become wealthy if you want to make a difference. Michelle, I see you just muted.
Thank you. We need to talk about this more. I think from what you're saying, this excites me, and it's been a long time since I've been excited. And as you know, I've had every excuse under the sun to not be excited. And I think we need to hear this conversation more. Because people do not, I didn't understand. People don't understand the power. And I think that's what's missing.
You know,
Okay.
what you said, Michelle, is so true because what the advantage Michael and I have is we built it, we saw it, we experienced every move. We saw people on our first level, our second level, our third level, our fourth level, our fifth level, our sixth level. I had leaders on my 25th level, which gave me such a viewpoint of how this works that it was like, okay, it's like a professional cook or a master chef or, a skilled surgeon that knows the heart and can do a heart transplant. It's just experience is the key. So our calls, what we do, Mike and I on a Monday night, aligning with success is specifically to give you the answers to your goals. I mean, obviously you have to do the work, but we can provide the route, the ideas, the strategies, the plans. And then if you bring your people on Thursday nights, we'll help make it grow.
Because that is what we talk about. What we talk about is a lot of people doing a little, not one person doing a lot. If you want to earn where this compensation plan is concerned, if you want to earn the big bucks, you've got to understand the compensation plan. And the compensation plan, Royal Diamond, is the big bucks, guys. It's on the table. Niken didn't say you have to, that you're not, like, what were the requirements? Think about it, for you to join Niken and be eligible to achieve Royal Diamond. You got to be who you are, where you were at in life. And you now enrolled in Niken, and they put on the table a compensation plan that includes a rank called Royal Diamond. And if you look at the incomes associated with that, it's on the table for you. You didn't have to jump through any hoops. You didn't have to pre-qualify. You didn't have to go through an exam. You didn't have to go through 4 years of university. You just get to build. And the thing that it takes to build a Royal Diamond business is the same thing it takes to build a silver ship or a gold ship or a platinum ship or a diamond ship. It's the same thing because it's just the duplication of that thing
By
that
a whole bunch
elevates
more
you.
people than yourself.
So what is the thing that needs to be duplicated? What's the thing that needs to be squawking? What? What people want, showing them, squawking, showing them how to get what they want, providing them with the means, the access to the vehicle that you have. Do you think they're going to learn about these products if they think they're going to make $100,000 this year with this company? Do you think they're going to take some time to learn about the products? Do you have to be the person who sits there and pounds that in their head? Or do you think they're going to have some gumption to learn about these products if their objective is to make $100,000 this year with Niken? Think about it. So they don't really need you for that.
Provided they have an understanding of what to do. And that's the biggest bugaboo of all is most distributors, they'll recruit people and say, like I did, if you need my help, give me a call. You got to reverse that. I'm going to show you what to do. Let's go to work and you set the stage and you do the planning and you do the launching.
Launch.
and then they follow you, and then all of a sudden they know how to launch. But you got to make sure it gets done, and you just keep passing that on.
You have such an advantage because they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
They only know what you tell them. And if they believe you and they do what you tell them, they're going to get a result. And
Okay, it's
you guys have
10-2,
already,
Michael.
yeah,
Let's get
you guys
some.
have already got results. So we want to duplicate. Any questions about this? Any comments about this? Jeff, you've been sort of sitting on the sidelines listening in, auditing this call for the first time. So what are you thinking?
Sorry, it took me a second to get to the mute button. I love the information that I'm hearing, and it really does come down to a mindset. That's the clearest thing. So there are some people on this call who are on our Humans Being More book review, and we were doing Shad Helmstedter's What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, and it was fascinating. Jeannie Zidane can give us some thoughts, some ideas, but it literally, as you are saying, you are the one who create your reality, who creates your future. And it absolutely requires paying attention to that every single day. So paying attention to your self-talk, paying attention to what you are feeding your mind, paying attention to what you allow yourself to say consistently. And it is a process of making small commitments and small habits that you act out every single day that's going to allow you to experience the exponential growth, Mike, Dave, that you've been talking about. And it does happen. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's with financial things, with exercise, with expanding your friend group, whatever it might be. It's those tiny, consistent investments that you make every day that's going to give you what did you say, Dave? The 120,000, was that the goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were 1,000 short. Oh no, I was 1,000 short.
I cried all the way to the bank.
But it's those tiny investments that create the outcome over time. And I think the biggest challenge that most people face is, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with AOMA, with all out massive action. There are periods of time where you can do AOMA for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, but we only have so much internal motivation. And at some point, it's going to be really easy to feel overwhelmed or stressed or exhausted, and then just everything stops. But if you can create consistent growth, consistent development over a period of time, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, a year, and then just continuing it, that's where you start to have the exponential growth that comes in. The problem is most people give up because they get frustrated after a week or a month or 3 months of investing, and they don't continue. And it requires continuous investment.
You know, I totally agree because it's almost as if the universe is testing you during that phase. It's like this is how my mind works. It's like, this is what I tell myself. It's like, okay, you really want to know if I'm serious about this. Like, God, you really want to know if I'm serious about this. That's why you're pushing this off for me. Well, I'm serious about it because I'm going to keep going until I get it done. And that's how I always operate because I don't know how to fail. There's no such thing in my vocabulary. It just means I got to do something else. I got to try something else, or I got to try something more. And that basically is like me reiterating over and over to myself that I'm getting closer and closer to the end result, that result is imminent. It's imminent, it's imminent, it's imminent, it's imminent. And that is how you win big. It takes fortitude, it takes stamina, it takes commitment. Okay, one last comment. Barbara. Thanks, Jeff.
Wait, before Barbara, I put it in the chat for everybody to write their January goal. Just I'm going to go silver, I'm going to go gold, I'm going to do 15,000, whatever it is, but because it'll be identified with your name, and I'm sure Michael will keep the room in until we're all there, so that we've got something to deal with next week or next call. Sorry, Barbara, go ahead.
Well, over the last 8 months, I've discovered how much fortitude and stamina I really have. And in listening to this conversation tonight and overcoming the last surgery a month ago. If I take that same stamina and fortitude and apply it to my business on a daily basis, thinking now that I am healthy going into 2025 and anticipating no challenges like I've had in 24, there's absolutely no reason why I shouldn't be ultra successful in 2025 and to be able to achieve the goals, that the amount that I will write on the check that is going to be in my account in December of 2025. Because I've proven some things to myself in the last 8 months. And when I've had experts, surgeons say to me, I don't know how you've managed to keep pushing through this other than a strong will within and showing their admiration. I didn't know that I was doing anything spectacular. I didn't know that. All I knew is I had to keep going. In my own mind, I had to keep fighting through it. I had to keep pushing on a day-to-day basis. And some days I was ready to quit. I was ready to pack everything in. But I also kept reminding myself I'm not a quitter. I've never been a quitter. And I would set another goal for myself to get through the balance of that day and to get up the next day and try again. So I've learned a lot about myself in 2024. My plan is to apply what I have learned from 2024 to my actions in 2025. I'll know more in the next 2 months, but I'm thinking optimistically. I'm not allowing negative thoughts to come into my mind. I have made a plan. I started in November to revamp my plans, and I was thrilled to discover that I was #1 in Canada for We Accelerate for the month of November. And that was that happened the day that I underwent the knife. My consultant, my new consultant, did everything the day that I had my last operation. And I found out about it after I got out of the hospital.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, you plant the seeds and you
Yes.
talk,
That's it.
but you don't put the pressure on. You say, you've got all the information you need. Now the decision is yours. You decide what's the best fit for you, and you go ahead and you do it. She registered
one of the-
herself and so forth. And I also got a new customer in Colombia. So you don't know what you don't know that you're capable of doing. But don't ever give up on yourself, let alone anybody else, because you discover strengths about yourself that you didn't know you had.
That's a good point, Barbara. The one thing to goals that's really important is you have to understand what the goal's made up of and what activities create it, because that's the marching order, is to do the activities. I think it's 98% of people that make a New Year's resolution fail because they don't write down what they need to do to achieve the goal. So goals are great if you write down what you're going to do to achieve them. If you don't do that, then it's like throwing stuff in the air.
If you're not sure,
Well,
take your
everything I
best.
do, sorry.
Sorry, Barbara, I need to wrap up the call. So let's translate your goal that you wrote for tonight into an action plan. Give it your best guess if you're not sure. If you need help, don't hesitate to text myself or Dave, but turn the goal into a series of actions that need to be broken down into, and make sure it's daily. If it's not something you're doing every day, it's not right. I can tell you that much. So there needs to be something that you're doing every single day that compounds over the course of this month to that goal being met. So again, we can adjust, which is what Dave had to do. From $400 to $4,000 is quite an adjustment. He did something, and then he adjusted, and that resulted in a much bigger outcome. We need to do that. That is the process. The process is do something with consistency, and then you make your course corrections, you make your adjustments, because that's how you grow exponentially. It doesn't happen. Rome wasn't built in a day. Your Nikken business is not built in a day. We've got 12 months to see that number on your check, December 15, 2025. So this call and every weekly call is really important to help you make those course corrections so that you can start to see those wins grow exponentially. And for goodness sake, invite new people to this call. They need to be part of this conversation. They need to have the benefit of this information as well. And we'll do our best to repeat the important highlights, because as Jeff pointed out, as we pointed out, mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. You create the reality based on what you
Michael,
are
we got a
thinking
lot
and
of people
expecting.
we got a lot of people that put their goals down in the chat. If you'd be so kind as to copy that. So we have a framework for next week. If you guys haven't done it, please put it in now.
It's the chat isn't working with speech, so I'll just tell you 5,000 PGV.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Okay. Very, very cool.
And check out the chat on the Smart Networker, get your free books. And for those that are interested in numbers and vested interest, I had all the numbers of my organization. And what was really fascinating was that the income was really on the fourth, fifth, and sixth level. So that tells you something, that, if you got to get out of the garage, you got to get on the road, and you got to go down the highway to make this thing really work. But it's just a matter of where you focus your attention. And anyway, we'll talk more about that next time.
Okay, cool. Everybody, thanks. I'm going to stop the recording.